Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, coming from the Hollywood Reporter, how Donald Trump will war with Hollywood while swiping all its tricks. No president has ever relied as much on the operating principles of the entertainment business, and none has ever had such a fraught relationship with it. Donald Trump is coming after these guys. He's ready for them now. He has hired these envoys, and it's a non-paid position. He's got Sylvester Stallone, Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and yes, he's using them, but he's also got control of the funding for relief efforts. He also has control over whether or not Hollywood might get an additional federal subsidy to help with the cost of film production, which is something they've been asking for. Believe it or not, Adam Schiff has been promoting that. Maybe they'll make a deal. Maybe they won't. But now they're dealing with someone that's up to all their tricks, and Trump is on the offense, and he's looking for some conflict. A protagonist can only be as compelling as the forces of antagonism against him, according to Robert McKee. Robert McKee is a well-known storytelling expert who teaches classes on storytelling in Hollywood. Also has a great book called Story. Check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. While Donald Trump probably hasn't taken screenwriting classes, he instinctively understands this and many other axioms of Hollywood storytelling. More than any other national politician in history, the incoming president has relied on the mechanisms of modern entertainment, starting with his perpetual casting of Hollywood as the villain. Trump has all kinds of villains. He has all kinds of opposition. He feeds off of that conflict. He always comes out stronger after he's had conflict. That's a big trick on Trump that a lot of people don't understand. You would think he gets worn down like the rest of us do when we get into a conflict. Not this guy, because his focus is on seeking out that conflict to tackle that territory. And now he's not on the defensive with Hollywood. He's going after Hollywood. Trump, in his second term in office, is poised to have a more complex relationship with the entertainment business than almost any other industry, plunging its interest into financial and legislative uncertainty. Whatever you think of Trump, Trump's appropriation of Hollywood techniques is a fresh notch on the political belt. Ronald Reagan, who actually came from Hollywood, relied on some of the methods honed in this town, including the art of the Oval Office speech, a primetime magician in the network television era. But Reagan often transcended its manipulations, choosing statesmanship over showmanship. Trump has never met a TV trick he didn't like. Trump's skills in reality television are justly touted. In the first White House go-round, they allowed him to make a virtue out of chaos. It wasn't always clear he knew what he was doing. We still tuned in to see what he would do. But Trump's Hollywood gambits well surpass that obvious bit of abracadabra. In fact, they so permeate his MO, we can sometimes forget to notice them. His escape from certain death on that field in Butler, Pennsylvania, had echoes of John Wick dodging threats to his life again and again. He has used the more is more ethos of modern tentpoles, aiming with his boasts to create a bigger effect than Paul Atreides riding a sandworm. His naming of outrageous cabinet characters seemingly every few hours over a week-long period in November was right out of the reality TV premiere episode playbook. Can you believe who just showed up to compete in Alan Cummings' Highlands Castle? Trump's selection last week of Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone as special envoys to bring Hollywood business back from foreign countries was its own procedural bunny pull. These weren't simply the fan tastes of a man stuck in 1985. Trump's selection of these Social Security eligible swashbucklers sought to play on our love for the just outlaw, the placing atop the call sheet the stars of First Blood, Runaway Train, and Lethal Weapon, nothing less than a recasting of American history as one more Expendables installment. The tell came in a speech from Rambo himself, who spoke to a Trump gala audience at Mar-a-Lago shortly after the election. Quote, "When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you could imagine what the world would look like," Stallone said. He then added with a straight face, "We got the second George Washington." And we do. We're really fortunate to have Trump. Yes, the art of crafting something even the most ferocious haters can't stop clicking on is one of Trump's biggest achievements. He is the Netflix algorithm in elected official form. And there's his McKee-ish, that's Robert McKee again, goal of creating villains to further invest us in his protagonism as he manufactures enemies out of everyone from network anchors to world leaders. One might think all of this would give Trump a soft spot for Hollywood an underlying respect for those who write the playbook he studiously reads. Yet Trump's biggest enemies are, of course, often Hollywood figures themselves. The jibes aimed at Angelina Jolie, Jay-Z, Robert De Niro, and many other famous entertainers are unceasing, like Triumph the insult comic dog bitten by a radioactive spider. Much of Trump's detestation of the Hollywood establishment is obviously performative. One more nemesis to cast his Aaron Sorkin-type screenplay. Some of it, however, is genuine, repelled by his saltiness over The Apprentice not winning any Emmys. The TV Academy has rigged them, he has often said, and an ongoing one-side feud with Deborah Messing. Never mind that his longtime ties to Mark Burnett, NBC, and Fox News make Trump allies with some of the biggest media brands in the world. That so many celebrities campaigned against him these past 6 months has surely only deepened his antipathy. So what will such resentments bring as Trump takes office? What can he do to an industry not very reliant on federal largesse? They aren't yet, but they're about to be, because they're going to ask for help with the film industry. Let's see what happens, but I'm almost sure they're going to. High on the list of what they can ask for is a restriction of websites with pirated content. The Motion Picture Association spent years trying to pass the Stop Online Piracy Act, a restrictive law that would block entire websites that display even small amounts of copyrighted material. The bill was derided by a wide range of First Amendment groups who banded together to stop it. But the MPA in recent months has revived such efforts. Charles Rifkin gave a speech touting them at CinemaCon in April. And Trump and a Republican Congress a lot more interested in owning progressives than protecting speech could well be enlisted. It hardly seemed like a coincidence that the MPA quickly jumped to congratulate Trump and the GOP congressional majority right after Election Day. Quote, "We look forward to working with them on a wide range of important issues for the film, TV, and streaming industry," it said, citing all the jobs Hollywood created in a reference that overlapped nicely with a favorable Republican talking point. Back in Los Angeles, celebrities were decrying Trump's election, with Jamie Lee Curtis worried about a sure return to a more restrictive, some fear draconian time, and LeBron James telling his daughter, quote, "Promise to protect you with everything I have. We don't need their help." Yet in DC, the MPA, acting on behalf of its 7 studios, was trying on its best Mark Zuckerberg impression. The National Association of Broadcasters has its own interest in keeping Trump close at hand. The trade group spent more on lobbying last summer than it did in years as it fights a host of battles, including against the growing call to close the loophole that allows terrestrial radio not to pay performers royalties. Defeating that push would benefit iHeartMedia, Audacity, and the nation's other large radio conglomerates. And that would mean those creatives, those artists who make the music, would not get paid for that. And that could be a reason Trump would support it, and it's certainly a reason NAB issued a post-November 5th statement that, quote, "congratulates President-elect Trump and the new and returning members of Congress." Southern California and its 200,000 entertainment workers now also urgently need Trump for federal relief. A wildfires aid package could be passed as soon as March, but congressional Republicans have already said that they'd like to attach conditions to such a bill before passing it. Speaker Mike Johnson noted last week that there, quote, "are things that have to be factored in with regard to the levels of aid and whether there are conditions upon that, such as requirements that you would spend the money correctly and you wouldn't, say, borrow the money or take the money as has been done with the bullet train financing, and or that you'd have to actually make sure that you're maintaining the forestry the way they do in Europe and the way they do in other states, and even the way they do in certain counties in California that are red counties, creating a situation where the federal government and national taxpayers don't have to subsidize dangerous conditions brought on by mismanagement." That's going to come up, and you can bet on it. They're starting to create a situation where real estate is not going to be insurable, even outside of California. There are going to be increases in rates that everyone, even outside of California, are going to have to deal with because of the losses in California. A good friend of mine does that kind of property and casualty insurance, and he and I were talking, and he said, yeah, insurance companies are not willing to take the same risks they used to take, even just before these recent wildfires, and it's not just California. In other instances, Trump is likely to go after media outlets, like his recent lawsuit against CBS for its editing of a Kamala Harris interview, and his defamation suit against ABC for George Stephanopoulos' characterization of his trial, which was settled for $15 million. Or he may try to block the mergers of companies he doesn't like, as he supposedly did with AT&T and CNN owner Time Warner. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.